Some people don't waste their lives dramatically. They waste them quietly. One delayed conversation. One postponed decision. One more Monday. One more month. One more year. Haha. And the terrifying part? Most people don't even realize it's happening while it's happening. You probably tell yourself a story that sounds reasonable. I'm figuring things out. I need more clarity. I'll start when things calm down. Next month will be better. Sounds responsible, right? But here's the uncomfortable question. What if you're not waiting for the right time? What if waiting became your identity? Think about the last few months, maybe even the last year. How many times did you say you'd finally get serious? About your health, your career, your discipline, that business idea, that skill, that relationship you know isn't working. You had those moments. Usually late at night, phone in your hand, room quiet, brain loud. You stare at the ceiling and feel this strange mix of guilt and hope. Guilt because you know you're not living the way you could. Hope because tomorrow still exists. Tomorrow feels magical, doesn't it? Tomorrow is disciplined. Tomorrow wakes up early. Tomorrow stops doom scrolling. Tomorrow doesn't avoid hard conversations. Tomorrow becomes the version of you that somehow has everything under control. Tomorrow is amazing. Too bad tomorrow never shows up. Only today does. And today feels messy, emotional, inconvenient. Today has distractions, notifications, fatigue, anxiety. So your brain makes a deal. Not today, later. At first this feels harmless. That's what makes it dangerous, because delay rarely feels like destruction. It feels like comfort. That's the trap. You don't notice it immediately. No alarm goes off. No dramatic collapse happens because you delayed going to the gym today. Nothing explodes because you avoided sending that application. Life still moves. Bills get paid. You eat, you sleep, you laugh at memes, you watch another self-improvement video. Everything appears normal. But under the surface, something is slowly breaking. And this is the part most people miss. Every time you ignore something important, you teach your brain something, not about productivity, about identity. You teach yourself, I don't follow through. That sentence may never become conscious, but your nervous system remembers. You make promises to yourself, then break them. Again, and again, and again. Wake up early? Didn't. Start the project? Later. Read instead of scroll? Tomorrow. Drink less? Next week. Small moments, huge consequences. Because self-trust isn't lost in one catastrophic failure. It erodes through tiny betrayals. And once self-trust drops, everything gets heavier, even simple tasks. You know what's strange? You might not actually lack discipline. You might be exhausted from carrying the emotional weight of all the promises you broke to yourself. That hits differently, doesn't it? Because now procrastination stops looking like laziness. It starts looking like something deeper, something more painful. You're not always avoiding the task. Sometimes. You're avoiding what the task represents. Let's say you finally start writing, or applying, or posting, or building. Now the fantasy disappears, because action creates reality. And reality can hurt. Reality can tell you you're not as skilled as you thought. You need practice. People may judge you. You may fail publicly. So your brain protects you. Not by saying, I'm scared. That would be too obvious. Instead it says, you need more research. You need better timing. You need the perfect plan. Clever, right? Fear dressed up as logic. That's when the real problem begins. Because smart people are often the best procrastinators. Why? Because intelligence gives you better excuses. You can rationalize anything. You can turn avoidance into strategy. You can make delay sound wise, and the whole time, a quiet dissatisfaction grows. You feel it in weird moments. Watching someone your age move forward, seeing engagement photos while you still feel stuck. Watching creators build things while your ideas live in notes apps. You smile. You say, good for them, but something tightens inside. Not jealousy, not exactly. More like grief. Grief for the version of you that still exists, but hasn't been lived yet. And that feeling, that silent ache, it doesn't come from failure, it comes from non-expression, from unlived life. Here's what almost nobody talks about. Your life is not being shaped by your biggest decisions. Not mostly. It's being shaped by what you repeatedly tolerate, the snoozed alarm, the avoided email, the unfinished plan, the conversation you keep postponing. Tiny moments, ordinary moments, moments so small they feel invisible. But stack enough invisible moments, and suddenly 5 years disappear. That sounds dramatic until you realize it already happens to people every day. You meet them everywhere. People who still talk about what they used to want, the business they almost started, the city they almost moved to, the skill they almost mastered, the person they almost became. Notice the pattern. Their life didn't collapse, it calcified. That's scarier because collapse is loud, stagnation is silent, and silence is easy to normalize. You wake up, check your phone, consume, work, escape, sleep, repeat. Days blur, weeks blur. Then something strange happens. A birthday, New Year's Eve, a reunion, an old photo. And reality punches through the numbness. You see a version of yourself from years ago. Eyes brighter, energy different, and you remember something. That younger version of you believed things, big things, not fantasies, real possibilities. And now you sit there wondering, what happened? But the strange part is, you already know. Nothing happened. That's the point. You delayed. Quietly, repeatedly, comfortably, until delay became lifestyle. But this changes everything, because if your current life was built through repetition, it can also be rebuilt through repetition, not through some cinematic overnight transformation. That idea hurts people, because part of you still wants a breakthrough that removes effort. One video, one insight, one perfect system. Then everything changes. Sometimes insight helps, but insight without behavior becomes entertainment. You've probably consumed enough insight to transform 3 lifetimes. That isn't the issue. Execution is. And before your brain turns this into self-attack, listen carefully. This is not about becoming perfect. Perfection is another delay tactic. You tell yourself, I'll begin when I'm fully ready. You won't. Readiness is overrated. Most meaningful things begin awkwardly. Messy first workouts, messy first videos, messy first conversations, messy first attempts. Progress usually looks embarrassing at first. That's normal. And this is the part most people miss. The goal isn't becoming someone new overnight. The goal is proving something small to yourself. Something powerful. I do what I say. That's it. Not 20 habits. Not a life overhaul by Monday. One promise. Kept. Then another. And another. Self-trust returns exactly how it was lost. Tiny moments. Repeated. You don't build confidence by thinking differently first. You build it by collecting evidence. Evidence that you act. Evidence that discomfort doesn't kill you. Evidence that avoidance no longer runs your life. And slowly, your identity shifts. Not because you forced affirmations. Because reality changed. You become someone who moves, even while uncertain, even while scared, even while imperfect. That's real freedom. Not the absence of fear. Movement despite fear. So before another year passes, ask yourself something uncomfortable. If nothing changes, not your routines, not your habits, not your decisions, where will you be next year? Same excuses? Same anxiety? Same almost? Same internal speeches about how serious you're about to become? Be honest. Not cruel. Honest. Because honesty is where power returns. Maybe the life you want isn't as far away as it feels. Maybe what's far away is the version of you that keeps delaying. And maybe the next chapter doesn't begin with motivation. Maybe it begins with refusal. A quiet refusal to postpone your own life any longer. No dramatic speech, no perfect plan, no waiting for Monday. Only this decision. Now matters. This hour matters. This choice matters. Because life rarely changes in giant moments. It changes in ordinary ones. Right here, when nobody is watching. Well, almost nobody, because there's one person watching. You, the future version of you, the one who will either thank you or quietly wonder why you kept waiting. That future version isn't asking for perfection. Only courage, a little honesty, a little action, a little movement. Today. Because 1 year from now, you will absolutely arrive somewhere. That part is guaranteed. The only question is, did you drift there or choose it? And if this felt a little too real, maybe that's the part you shouldn't ignore.